What's on tap today?
That's right, Hadley. So we're at the Carbon Capture, Utilisation and Storage Conference here in Riyadh. This is really important for Saudi Arabia as it transitions towards that circular carbon economy. But perhaps more importantly, we wanted to be here in Riyadh for you today to follow up with any reaction to last night's significant drop in the price of oil. In just a short while, we are expecting the arrival of the Saudi Arabian Energy Minister, His Royal Highness, and at the same time, we're also expecting to hear today from the likes of the UAE Energy Minister and the Bahraini Energy Minister. And this is important, particularly when you see the declines in the oil price over the past 24 hours and indeed throughout the course of this year, down double digits as a result of the fears surrounding the coronavirus spread outside of China. So that's number one. We're going to be looking for any reaction to that price decline and perhaps what could happen next on the oil front. More importantly as well, this conference comes just a week ahead of the OPEC Plus meeting that's going to be taking place in Vienna. So we're going to be looking out to see exactly how these policymakers could respond to the declines that we've seen in the price of oil. So far, the conversation has been that, yes, Saudi Arabia is pushing for a cut to production at that next meeting, deepening the production cuts that we've already seen from the OPEC Plus producer group at their last meeting. Now, what that looks like really remains to be seen because, as you know, we've also heard reports of perhaps some distancing between Saudi Arabia and its ally within the OPEC Plus group, Russia, on what that cut could look like, Matt.
Well, Dan, you mentioned OPEC. We are, of course, counting down to the OPEC meeting next month. What is any production cut likely to look like? Is 600,000 barrels still on the agenda? And, of course, given the move lower that we saw in oil yesterday, at one point down by about 5%, what kind of messaging will you be listening out for today at the conference that you're at?
Well, in terms of the messaging that we're expecting to hear today, Matt, that's a really good point. First and foremost, it would be highly likely that His Royal Highness would like to come out and assure the oil markets that this group is going to be able to maintain stability in terms of pricing. But more importantly, when you look at the overall policy lead here from Saudi Arabia, the other thing we're going to be looking out for is whether or not this group will go ahead with that flagged 600,000 barrel cut. Remember, we've also heard reports that because of the distancing of Russia and perhaps Russia's reluctance to hike oil prices against the Chinese as they deal with this global health emergency, given the close ties between those two countries, we've also heard that perhaps Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Kuwait would come together as part of a separate group to cut production by their own means in the order of about 300,000 barrels. Now, this could have somewhat of a dual consequence for the market. On the one hand, you could expect that the market would welcome that production cut, right? An extra 300,000 barrels off the market, that would be good. But at the same time, this would also reflect disunity within the OPEC Plus alliance, which would really underscore how concerned the market would be about that disunity. And that disunity has the potential to perhaps fracture future meetings as well. So they're torn here. Do they cut production independently, or do they try and push ahead and maintain this alliance with Saudi Arabia, Russia and the broader OPEC group and deepen those production cuts even further? So next week's OPEC meeting is absolutely live, and it's going to be very important to watch if you're trading crude or if you're following the declines that we've seen in the oil market, Hadley.